That's our girl. She knows it. There it is.
I know. We haven't done it all season.
And that's our first time.
And we're back. We've got highlights on this 8-game slate on a Saturday night with the Warriors looking to win consecutive games for the first time since the All-Star break and still sitting atop the Western Conference as they head to OKC to take on a Thunder team that's won 3 of their last 5. So a good matchup.
This should be really good.
It was expected, of course. Russell Westbrook.
That's kind of a quiet outfit for Russ.
Off the court, looking fly, as is Steph.
It's a bad man right there.
Yes, it is. And then Klay Thompson said, I'm going to start things off, though, because you're going under screens. I'm going to let it fly.
The Splash Brothers would, I mean, come out splashing, the only way to put it. 10 points in the first quarter for Klay.
It's unfortunate when you don't take care of the basketball, Karan Butler, they get out and run and get easy buckets.
Look at that. How do you defend that?
You don't.
Ask for help. Ask for help. It's okay. It's okay. Look at that.
From who?
He's got Marquise Morris on skates.
Ask for help from who? The
Somebody
Lord?
come help me. I'm on the island by myself.
Steph had 14 in the first quarter as well. And, guys, just a rough night for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, you could talk about his offensive selection, but you got to give a ton of credit to that man right there, guarding him on that possession. And look at the reaction.
Uncalled for, in my opinion.
Yeah, Klay did a remarkable job on him on both ends of the floor, applying pressure with his offense and then stopping him, building that wall on the defensive end of the floor.
Getting called for a technical foul there for running into Klay, picking up his 16th technical of the season, and if upheld, he'll be suspended for 1 game. More, though, from the Splash Brothers.
Well, what's cool about watching Steph and Klay, as soon as they give the ball up, they take off running to their spots and their teammates find them.
Oh.
Warriors.
This is not fair. In and out dribble.
Quarter.
Big man's off balance.
Look,
he gets all the way to the rim.
When he starts shimmying in the
you're
crowd,
in trouble. You're in trouble.
It's over.
You're in trouble.
It's not
All the
gonna
shimmy shake and smiling, smacking his chest, biting on his mouthpiece.
If something happened to OKC, he always catch flame.
Yes, well, he did say, Kristen, before we go to sound, he did say the Houston game was a message. They went in there and handled Houston, and he said this game was a message with no KD.
A season-low 88 points for the Thunder. A season low for Russell Westbrook as well, as he dropped just 7 points. But 33 for Steph as he finished 10 of 23 from the field. Here he is with Doris Burke after the game. So do we want to start with the good news, the bad news?
Let's start with the good.
The good news. Okay, then let's start with Steph Curry. He finished with 33. What'd you see from him that you like?
Well, he uses the phrase right intentions, and I take that as playing the right way, which is continuing to share the basketball. I didn't look to see how many assists they had the team tonight, but when they share the ball the way they do, they get easy layups. Steph and Klay move without the basketball. And defensively, they took Russell Westbrook out of his game. Russ can say whatever he wants to say after the game, but the way Klay Thompson played defense and the way things unfolded, it lets you know that offensively, how many assists was it?
25.
25 assists. So it lets you know they continue to be unselfish. Defensively, Paul George didn't have one of his normal nights, and Russell Westbrook didn't have one of his normal nights.
They did a remarkable job of doing it by committee. And what Steph Curry has said, rectify. You know, they wanted to be a better version of themselves, particularly tonight. And he was just clicking, you know, setting the screens higher, giving him more real estate to operate. And when he released the ball, you saw Draymond Green. That ball was popping around. You see him coming off screens. This is something that we traditionally see with the Splash Brothers. So it was fun to watch.
Dennis chose to go with the good news first, so I will start with you, with the bad news.
Uh-oh.
Thunder with a season-low 88 points, and Russell Westbrook, who had recorded 2 straight triple-doubles over their last 2 games and leads the NBA with 27, seemingly fell flat.
Yeah, he really was flat, and they did a remarkable job by committee slowing him down. You know that Russell Westbrook was trying to get up for this game. They felt like it was a great opportunity for them to still a win against the defending champs. And with no KD, it did not work out in their favor. And he was aggressive. He was doing all the things that he needed to do. The switch outs was great. They lured him into taking jump shots. When he was going downhill, they showed a couple bodies where it was extremely tough for him to finish. So I just, you got to give them a ton of credit, even though Russell probably won't. He'll say it's more him than them, but you got to give him a ton of credit for just making it difficult for him.
And once again, to hear Steph say this time of year, he knows he has to take the focus to another level. They understand they're trying to go to their 5th finals. So now the mind and the body is kicking in right at the right time. And I remind people at home, no KD for the 2nd straight game. So it lets you know, hey, we don't know what the future is. We know how to lock in. We know we're together. And Klay and Steph, we still know how to lead the way.
Do you think this Warriors team tries to send a message when KD is sidelined?
100%. And you know what? With Draymond Green, to his credit, he looked a little bit, not himself for the first half of the season. And now I feel like he got into better shape, and he's moving great. And look at that. I love the fact that KD still came out, and the connection right there, that means a lot. Probably came out even more so because they was in Oklahoma.
Of course.
I just want everybody to see him like, y'all see.
Yeah, I traveled with it.
And I
wasn't
even out there.
No, I love that. You're right. The camaraderie, the chemistry is tighter than ever. We know what the team has gone through all the season. So to get locked in, to get hot at this point in time, going into the playoffs, teams notice it.
Well, game time continues after this break with the Pacers looking for a third straight win as they head to Denver to face a Nuggets team that's won 3 of their last 4.
Okay, Murray.
And the battle for Western Conference playoff positioning is on the line as the Trailblazers take on a Spurs team looking for an 8th straight win. And elsewhere in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz welcome the Brooklyn Nets to town and look for a third straight.
Splash. Jay Crowder with the clam chowder.
Kevin Durant is out for a second straight game, will not play tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Fine, Chris.
His
the
former
ankle
team.
feel pretty good. He's walking normal to me.
Reports say he'll return on Monday.
All right.
8:30 start for that one. Here's Steve Kerr.
Boogie's coming off one of his best games as a Warrior. This is another chance for him to use his size against Steve Adams. How do you see him matching up against the league's best centers when he is one of the league's best centers?
Well, he's got the size to match up with all the biggest centers, which is great for us. And especially tonight with Adams. Adams has always given us trouble with his size and strength, so it's a good weapon for us to have. And then he's so skilled that he can beat you in a lot of different ways.
Have you guys decided, you got upcoming back-to-back and he hasn't played both sides of one yet. Do you know if he will?
We're going to talk everything out tomorrow with Rick and any of the other guys who we would consider resting.
Is that like a hurdle you guys want him to get over at some point, or you just?
It's more just whatever's best for him. So.
Their defense has been really good all season long. What is it about them that makes it such a good defense?
Very athletic, very active, athletic on the wings and in the front court. So they pose a lot of problems. They play the passing lanes. You got to be careful with the ball.
Steve, Steph and Clay and other shooters have often made the comment that one shot can turn the tide of any shooting slump. As a shooter yourself, what is it about that one shot that can change things?
I needed more than one, personally. Steph only needs one. Clay only needs one. I think those guys are so confident. It's just a feel thing. They see the ball go in, and it feels right, and then they just repeat that stroke. But a lot of great shooters have said that over the years. Just takes one.
Is there an element of confidence that you just have to be born with, or is confidence something you?
I think you earn confidence, with your work ethic and going through some tough spells and learning how to dig your way out of that. So yeah, it's different. Everybody's a little different, but we got guys who have great confidence. It's one of the reasons we've had a lot of success.
Steve, is there anything specifically you need to see from Jerebko or McKinney or Cook for those guys to secure a rotation spot in the playoffs in the next couple of weeks?
I don't look at it that way. Whoever we play, we want everybody to be prepared for and ready, and certain matchups make sense for certain guys and other matchups make more sense for others. So they just all need to stay ready.
So Kevin Durant also missed the game against the Houston Rockets earlier this week on Wednesday, and Boogie was the one who stepped up with 27 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, arguably his best game in a Warriors uniform. Are you expecting an encore performance from him tonight?
Tonight, the last couple weeks of the season, playoffs, I'm expecting Boogie to explode. And here's why, Tough Juice. I've been fortunate enough, and Steve, I always say I thank you on air because since we've been doing Players Only Tough Juice late October, early November, I've been watching him work out, watching him go one-on-one full court.
You have?
Understanding he was going down playing with the G League, never complaining, just waiting for that leg to get 100%. I did that Warriors game against the Wizards. I talked to him personally, Tough Juice. I said, when did you realize your leg was back. He said, I'm coming down the steps with my son to pick him up, and I was no longer hesitating. And that's when you hear those stories of he was ramping up the workouts. He was ready to go. Then they said, wait 1 more month to make sure. And he didn't complain. He waited 1 more month. So now he's 100%. All-Star break has come. And now Steve Kerr said, no more minute restriction. Go play your game. And guess what, cuz? We're going to give Kevin Durant some rest so we can play through you. What do you mean by that? Well, we're going to put you in the mid-post like we do with Draymond. And instead of looking to pass every time, go do you. And he's like, wait a minute, what do you mean go do you? No, go be you. And by being you, he had 7 assists in the first quarter with 21 points. And he's like, oh my goodness, I'm not used to having all this talent around me that everyone's watching Steph Curry cut. They're watching Klay Thompson cut. I'm one of the best passing big men in the game today, and I'm still a young guy. I understand now, the more unselfish I am, the ball's coming right back to me because my teammates are so unselfish. So to answer your question again, Chris, I'm looking for Boogie to explode for these last couple weeks of the season and into the playoffs.
And against Steven Adams, Karan.
Yeah, I think this is a great test for him. And look, you're not fully healthy until your body and your mind are both connected and you're healthy together. You know, sometimes you can be mentally healthy, but physically it's just not there. So when you're able to react in the way that's warranted to be a professional athlete to the measure of what DeMarcus Cousins was prior to taking that injury and that hit, and now you're welcoming the challenge and saying, you know what, I want the same coverages as everybody else in pick and roll situations. I need to know what I'm going to do, you know, going forward down the stretch in order to be effective with this ball club, because Bogut is coming, expected to be on this roster and expected to be with this squad. And I think DeMarcus Cousins is going to be a huge, huge anchor for them on the offensive end and the defensive end coming down the stretch.
And a matchup we have to talk about secondary because of all the talent on the court, but they are primary players in Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. You have former MVPs, Mr. Triple-Double versus Mr. Three-Point Range. How excited are you for this matchup?
I'm super excited, but if we're keeping it 100, Klay Thompson's guarding Russell Westbrook most of the time. That's the only part. But I know Steph, the last couple of years, Tough Juice has taken on the challenge saying, no, Klay, you go over there and fool Paul George now. I want to guard Russell. That's what makes this thing juicy now, because if you put Steph Curry now over there, he's not going to guard Paul George by himself right now. You see what I mean? So that's what makes this matchup so juicy now. Both guys have to play deep.
Yeah, I think it's super important for both of those guys to play extremely well when you talk about the Splash Brothers and Curry and, you know, Klay. But the thing that's going to be extremely funny is that you don't have KD out there. You know, and he's the guy that usually offset everything. So now you have to actually win your matchup. And Russell Westbrook is going to attack Steph Curry early and often. He's going to try to post him up, get him in foul trouble. And if you have Klay on him, you know, he's going to try to, you know, beat him on the pick and rolls and try to lay as much wood as possible on him. What do you mean by that? He's going to get hit with a ton of picks, a ton of screens, try to wear him down on the defensive end of the floor, and hopefully that affects him on the offensive end of the floor.
I like how you used a euphemism there. You said offset everything, as in the cheat code is really what Kevin Durant is for this Golden State Warriors team.
Facts. You thought I was talking about the Amigos?
Well, getting back to the topic at hand, looking at OKC and where they are this season, and Paul George being in the MVP conversation, Russell Westbrook still averaging a triple-double. How do you like them, not just in this game, but as a real threat in the postseason against the Warriors?
They're going to be a huge threat to pretty much anyone, because you have two dynamic guys on that roster that could take over a series. Russell Westbrook can win you a series when he's clicking on all cylinders. His shot is starting to fall. He's starting to get his legs up underneath him. Paul George is having the best season of his career. He can go out there and win you a series on both ends of the floor. So when you have the other guys, the others stepping up in a major way, you know, Grant, Adams, all those guys knocking down shots, facilitating, doing the other things, that's a scary, scary team, and it's not going to be an easy out.
Dennis Schroeder, you missed that name. You throw in Ferguson, you talked about Grant, and now Markieff Morris for the toughness.
Huge.
If those guys play to their abilities, then yes, you take them serious, because it frustrates me to say all the role players, what is it's Paul George and Russell Westbrook's role to be super, right? Don't they get the max money? So if they're playing like max players and all those other players we're talking about are playing to their role, then you can say, yes, they could go in and win on a Game 7 in Houston or in Golden State, wherever they have to, or possibly wherever it is, because those two guys are playing at the level that we told them for.
He looks stress-free, too. He just looked like he's happy where he's at. He's comfortable in the role that he has now, where he can be, you know, the alpha 1A some nights, and then he can step down to 1B and let Russell do what he does. And they both just really complement each other extremely well. So I'm happy for Paul George. Excellent decision by him, you know, in free agency, and it looks extremely rewarding.
Let's take a look at the Western Conference standings and try to pair these teams up and see where they'll be in the first round and also beyond. So for the Rockets, they're in an interesting position. Half a game ahead of the Blazers.
3, 4, and 5.
Still kind of chasing 2 with the Nuggets, but the Nuggets playing so well. Seems like there's so
like
much
we talked about with the Eastern Conference. I don't see any of those teams losing 4 in a row or 3 in a row, because you have to do that to kind of jump a team outside of obviously 3 and 4 because they're tied right now.
So break it down,
one game
the second round matchups that we could possibly see, or to the conference finals, why it's important where these teams finish.
Well, obviously you want to stay away from the Warriors until, if you're possible, to the Western Conference final. But some of those teams like Portland, they don't care right now. Portland's like, we're in. We saw what happened to us last year. We got swept by New Orleans. So we got to come back like gangbusters and prove last year was a fluke. We're a better team.
How about the Thunder and the Rockets? What's the best seed for those two right now, 3rd and 5th out west?
I mean, I think the Rockets welcome anyone, you know, with a healthy Chris Paul. I think OKC welcome anyone, you know, with their 2 stars being healthy. And you talk about Schroeder and all those guys, that they're playing amazing basketball. They're able to knock down shots when they're open. They're able to, you know, give them breaks in those spots, the 5 to 8 minute moments where Russell Westbrook or Paul George need them to be the best possible version of themselves. So, and then you look at the Portland Trail Blazers. That's not going to be an easy out. You got 2 guys that's so dynamic. They can go out there and score 30 apiece in that backcourt. And let me not forget, the way the Utah Jazz are playing on the defensive end of the floor, offensively, you know, Donovan Mitchell has just been electric. And then the Denver Nuggets, like I said, I mentioned,